This week on the TT Show, we review all of the latest gear, gadgets, hardware, and tech that we saw at Computex 2024. From AMD's new chips to Copilot Plus AI PCs to new GPU designs, OLED displays, fishbowl cases, next-gen cooling, keyboards, and much, much more. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the TT Show. My name is Jak Connor. I'm a hardware editor over at Tweaktown, and today I'm joined by my co-host,
Kosta and gaming hardware editor at Tweaktown.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey. Well, we don't need to ask each other how we've been because we both just got back from Computex after a week, joined at the hip.
Yes, we were. We were staying in the same room, sniffing each other's farts and different odors while being inundated in artificial intelligence, hardware, new software, cool PC cases. I don't know. It was a absolute it was exhausting. That was for sure.
Even before it started, so there's obviously keynotes happened before Computex. So there was Jensen's keynote at a massive sports arena for some reason.
It was at a sports arena.
8,000 plus people there or whatever it was. And and then there was Lisa Sue's there. But even before before day one began, we heard the phrase AI probably 500,000 times.
Yeah, I think I heard it on the plane ride over.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was.
I mean,
it
to
was.
Be expected.
Yeah, it was to be expected. I think we did. I think last episode. Maybe not last episode. The episode before was our predictions for Computex, and
which will be AI.
We hit the nail on the head when it comes to AI. And there were so many different products that were AI infused. We got a look at the hardware that is powering the AI, especially the Copilot PCs, which is something that we're going to be Copilot Plus PCs. Something that we'll be talking about later on in this episode. But what we thought we'd start off with today is our awards. So this is the first year that Tweaktown has ever handed out awards on
physical trophies,
for the best stuff that we saw on the showroom floor. We have an article up on the website that Kosta has penned up, and we gave out 14 awards.
Yeah, or 15, I think it was.
14, 15.
And out of you'd think that that's a lot to hand out, but not really. Like when you see 15 different cases and you see 4 or 5 of them that are great, how do you cut that down to just like 1 or 2 maximum? It's the same with peripherals. So we saw so many laptops, like AI laptops, gaming laptops. We saw like 10 great OLED displays that are either new or about to come out in the next couple of months. We saw so many things that, but we kind of knew, like when you saw something that was like super cool, and there's a few things that we saw that were just, it was like an instant sort of like, okay, this is different. This is really cool. This deserves special attention.
Yeah, that is, I think, a very important factor when we go through each of what we have awarded is we awarded it, or at least I did, because we all awarded it for different aspects and different things. But I think at the heart of our decision making was innovation. It's different. There isn't anything else like this on the showroom floor.
Yeah, and how much do we want it too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is a big factor as well. It's like I need that in my setup.
Yeah, would you be willing to spend money
or
to buy
would I
this?
recommend it to someone else? That's something that was a big factor. But we should start off. I am not that big into keyboards, but I know you are. But the ROG Azoth
the ROG Azoth Extreme from Asus. Now, I've reviewed about half a dozen keyboards just in the last few months, and I've got a few more that I'm going through. And mechanical keyboards have been around for ages, but in the last about 2 years or so, all the main keyboard makers have stepped up their game because there's been so many boutique DIY sort of like kits that you could get. Like you could you get switches, you get like mounting boards, you get silicon foam frames, and you can create these amazing feeling keyboards. And there's a lot of like really cool tech that goes into it. So ROG, which is Asus's premium gaming brand, so they had an ROG Azoth, I think last year, that I reviewed, and it was their best keyboard to date. So they showcased the Extreme at Computex. Now, normally a new keyboard, even a good one, is going to be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But this one just basically goes all out in every single department. Now, we don't know the price, which this could be the one reason that makes this unattainable to most, because it's got so many things. So it's fully customizable. It's going to come with different types of switches. It's going to have multiple layers. It's got carbon fiber layers, aluminum. And one of the actual cool things that it's got is that it's gasket mounting, which most really good keyboards now is this how they kind of like mount their switches and stuff. So now this one you can adjust it, so you can adjust how the key sort of like feels to press, whether it's spongy, tactile, or like better for typing, better for gaming. Actually makes it feel like a different keyboard just by that one little feature that's underneath. You got like magnetic feet underneath that are cool little to adjust the height. You've got like a silicon premium wrist rest that comes with it. You got a full screen OLED display in the top right corner that actually gives you stats, real-time stats on your keyboard, like how many
KPM.
keys per second or whatever it is, KPM, yep. So like, if you're playing a game where that's a measurement that you want to know how many keys you're actually pressing. Yeah, StarCraft, real-time strategy games where that was like you needed a minimum amount with this key does it, but then you can also have it display, GPU temps, CPU temps, all that sort of system stuff. It's got an 8,000 hertz polling rate, wired, wireless, Bluetooth. The actual keycap feel is like so premium. I mean, and it's stylish and it looks really cool too. So it's basically everything that you could expect to go into a keyboard has gone into this ROG Azoth Extreme. And it's something that Asus spent quite a bit of time producing, and that's how they kind of approached it, was like, let's make this the everything that we can, but plus do some new stuff like adjustable mounts, and also you can pull it apart and customize it how you see fit. Like, it's got 15 layers or 10 layers or whatever
Doesn't
it is.
Doesn't it have a graphene film as well?
Yeah, it's got so many things. It's crazy.
I remember the teardown on the showroom. I think it was the showroom floor, wasn't it? Or was that the Zeus HQ?
We saw it at the Zeus HQ first, during there was an ROG
but the teardown,
media day.
The teardown of it.
Yeah.
Like with all the different parts out of it, this thing is heavy. I don't think it's something that you
it's also solid.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Because of all these layers and all of the different customization, and I'm guessing the premium materials that are used inside of it has like made this keyboard, I reckon. How much weight do you think it is? It's over a kilo.
Yeah, it'll probably be about 1.5 or 6 kilos. Like it is pretty weighty, and it's actually got like a thick sort of like, I think it's aluminum or metal, like with like a ROG pattern embossed like weight in the center of the back, so it's not going to move at all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But the thing is, you can tell straight away with these sort of keyboards. You press the space bar, you do a few keys, and got to play around with it for a bit, and it's just like one of those instant things. You're like, oh yeah, this feels great. It
screams premium.
I can't wait to go hands-on with it, like in full. Hopefully I can get a review sample or something. But either way, like it's a keyboard that I would love to have.
Yeah. Well, this is something that I gave an award for, and I'm very impressed by this case. I'm not that big into cases. I mean, I do kind of keep up with them, but again, to me, it's kind of like redesigning the wheel.
But also as well, it's kind of like when you're building a PC, then you're super into cases. For that few months or whatever, you're looking at every single one to find the right one.
Yeah. And I do like how the market, it feels right now there is a case for everybody. There, like, you can really go and just, like you said, spend a month or even like a couple of hours. You could end up in finding the perfect case for the build exactly what you want. But I awarded this case from Be Quiet because it was different. There was nothing else on the showroom floor like it. Fishbowl cases, which is for those that don't know, the cases that you're probably starting to see online that have 3 glass panels. So the inside of the case is fully visible. We're sacrificing a bit of airflow because it's glass now and we don't have the grills, but you can now see all of your expensive components inside your case.
Yeah,
it's just
so basically,
I prefer.
the front panel is like full like glass, so it's like no longer just like, as usually like most case, in my case, it's just like the front panel was always the intake for the fans.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then it's blowing out the exhaust. There's some cases have glass on the top as well. Like I've seen, that was quite a bit. But what Be Quiet did, was they've got this like grill design around each of the sides of I'm just make sure I've got the right name for it here. Where is it?
The light base.
Yeah, the light base. I like what you wrote here. However, the wizards and German engineers at Be Quiet.
yeah. I mean,
you called it wizardry, magic.
Well, I mean, when you see something, it's like, whoa, okay, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and
I automatically just call it like I could go to that fantasy thing of like wizardry.
Yeah. So with the grill design on each side of this case, users can take off the feet by simply rotating them 90 degrees. They slide out of the railing and you can put it on whatever side that you like. Obviously not the glass sides, but the sides with the railing. Be Quiet has put in tiny little notches on the 4 corners of each of the grill side panels, and you're able to invert your PC.
Yep.
Which is a bizarre thing to look at when you look at it in real life. Like your motherboard and your graphics card are completely upside down, and it's like, what's going on? But the case looks fine. And you can also make a horizontal orientation, which I personally love.
That.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, it reminds me of like old hardware, like, you know, record players or like amps or like old stereo equipment, like that sort of like big rectangle box. And they've got like this minimal design with like the light strips and underglow. It's just so cool looking. I mean, by that point I had seen like a bunch of cases as well, some really cool ones too. There was one from Fantex that I was considering, but then you told me about this one because I wasn't there at the Be Quiet meeting. Who knows where it was? Somewhere else, obviously.
Yeah.
and you came back like, oh, you should have seen they had this one case. It's like this is a contender for an award for sure, because you can change the sides and things like that. And where you explain, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, that's definitely something that I haven't seen before. And then when we went to hand Be Quiet the award a day or two later, or wherever it was, and I saw it, I'm like, it's also one of the best looking cases.
Yeah,
at Computex.
It's very simple, very minimal. Kevin from Be Quiet was explaining it to me that he originally, when he was told about this idea and what Be Quiet was going to be showcasing at Computex, he was like, really? That's what we've got? And then he saw it in person and he went, oh, no, I get it. I get it now. Because it is such a simple idea. That, like, Be Quiet admitted to me that this is like, it's almost like a no-brainer, and it's amazing that no one has done this before. Like, all you're doing is being able to change the feet to whatever side of the case you want. But then for some reason it's been overlooked kind of thing in the case community. I'm not sure if there is another brand out there that allows you to do this. This is the first that I've seen, and there was no other case on the showroom floor that had this much versatility.
No, there was heaps of other fishbowl designs, so many. And there are really good ones. There's like so many great options coming to market. There's like affordable ones. There's one really cool one from Fantex that I saw as well. But in terms of like just one of the best overall, just straight up like cases that if you're looking to build a new PC, a versatile one, this is it. Because the horizontal setup is like so cool. Like, cause like, you know, that you can just you can have the GPU just freestanding on the motherboard.
Don't have to worry about a bracket or anything like that if you got a Beast
it'll be
4090 card.
secure. Yeah, with the bracket, and then also as well you can sit it like vertically, but then you can invert it. You can mount the GPU horizontally, vertically. You can arrange the fans any way you want. You can put the radiator here or there.
Yeah.
It's basically there's so many different options, which is cool.
It's great. It'll be out later this year. I'm gonna try and get my hands on one. Kevin, please. He said he would sort me out, but yeah, for the new review PC that is going to get built when next gen launches, next gen CPU platforms. I'm probably gonna wait for that. Like the new I think it'd be silly to build one now. But anyway, next award went to Patriot for the
for their Viper Extreme DDR5 memory. So this is like one of those different things where it's like, yes, it's a product. Viper Extreme 5 DDR5 memory from Patriot we've reviewed, and it won one of our editors choice awards because it's affordable, versatile, like fast for DDR5. You can overclock it, but at Computex, you always come across like just some cool demos, and there's a few of them in our awards list. There's one SSD one that you'll touch on a bit later. But yeah, so this basically Patriot had like a off-the-shelf setup, a Ryzen 5 8500G desktop processor, which is one of their new desktop processors with inbuilt graphics, a Gigabyte B650E Tachyon motherboard. Now that's not a super high-end board. It's sort of like a mid-range board, mid-range CPU. The case and the cooling was off the shelf, just a normal AIO cooler. There's no additional cooling on the memory, and the case was fully closed. We opened it so we could put our award in and take a nice photo, which is probably what you're seeing now. So basically that memory was overclocked to DDR5 10,000, which is 10,000 mega transfers a second or megahertz, however you want to define it, for DDR5 speed. Now, it wasn't the only DDR5 10,000 demo on display at Computex.
No, we saw a few from G-Skill and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there were different like RAM or memory modules that were rated at DDR5 10,000. But what made this really cool was the fact that it was off-the-shelf parts, but also this was super low latency. So the memory timings were 4860, 4860, 48 gigabytes across dual channels. Now, what that means is that, like, a speed is one thing, latency is another. Like, latency between the CPU and the memory kind of like defines like how it's going to
how fast instructions are carried out.
Yeah, but also as well like how accurate it's going to be and how stable it is as well. And the lower the latency, the better it is. And the other cool thing was that Patriot told us, they had this demo running pretty much 24/7. So like, by the time we saw it, it had already been up for like 14, 16, 18 hours stable at DDR 10,000 with no issues.
And you should say that some of the other brands that were doing this memory overclocking and pushing their
the latency
modules
was higher. The
latency was higher, and they also had a few problems.
And there was like less
stability.
Yeah. So this award is essentially just for showing that you can achieve this sort of stuff with obviously high quality parts. I mean, Patriot makes great memory and storage stuff, but like you don't need liquid cooling, you don't need insane overclocking, you don't have to sacrifice latency, you don't have to have a special high-end motherboard to do this sort of stuff. You can pretty much achieve all this cool stuff with what you set out to do. But also as well, like not everybody can do this. So like Patriot obviously know how to tune memory, how to tune the system. So this was like just a very cool, also a very cool tech demo really.
Yep. I completely agree. Moving on to the MSI Ultra Wide. I gave this monitor an award because there wasn't anything quite like it on the showroom floor, and it is the first 34-inch QD OLED 3rd gen panel from Samsung that I've seen, and it looks absolutely stunning. We have a resolution of 3440 by 1440, 240 hertz for under $1,000.
Yeah, for $900.
$900 US dollars. Now that is, I think that's very good. And when you see this thing in person and you sit in front of it, yes, it's 1440p, but look, ultra wide at this resolution, with this refresh rate and the 3rd gen QD OLED panel, which means you don't have those text fringing stuff. So that means this monitor is also good for working as well, which is why I was so attracted to it initially. And then you start to see the gaming performance as well. And it is primo. It is the sweet spot for if you want a monitor that you do a little bit of word processing, you do a little bit of writing, maybe reading news and stuff like that. But then you also want to flex into games. This is it.
I think this would be one of the most popular OLEDs when it comes out. Once word of mouth spreads that, like, hey, MSI, like, this is affordable and it's as good as X or X that costs hundreds of dollars more.
Absolutely. Like, I'm sure Asus is going to have their own variant of this. And a few different other brands. Like I think Samsung announced, it's a bit of a haze because I think the announcement happened during Computex when we were swamped in news, but I'm pretty sure Samsung announced a new G9 that is coming out, or G8, and that uses the 3rd generation QD OLED panel as well. So that will be directly competing with that, with MSI's variant. There is an ROG tax on all of their products, and monitors is no different.
But they obviously have their own custom call. Like, I mean, like with anything, there's like custom calling,
there's proprietary
custom shell,
stuff,
custom this and that. Like, you know.
Yeah, but for the most part, you are spending on the same panel, the same QD OLED generation panel. So these will be going head to head on Tweaktown. I have already confirmed with MSI that when this is going to be releasing, it'll be later this year, and I will be getting one. So I can't wait. Cannot wait for this. It's going to be good. It's going to be good stuff.
A foldable ultra wide OLED, and MSI is that's what they set out to do, because we spoke to MSI there, and that was their goal. Their goal wasn't just to make, let's just make the most premium or high-end OLED display you could ever think of and blow you away with like 500 hertz and super crazy resolution and this sort of brightness, and then you see the price tag and you're blown away, right? But then you see the price tag and it's like 15 grand or 10 grand or 8 grand or whatever it is.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what it is.
Crazy.
It's like the opposite. So it's like to maintain that quality and go affordable is worthy of an award.
Absolutely. Do you know what else is worthy of an award? Lee and Lee's.
Yeah.
For their new Edge power supply.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Lee and Lee have been making cases, cooling, power supplies, cables, and stuff like that for a few years now. If you're familiar with their cases, there's usually a lot of RGB action and white and black and minimal and stylish design to it. But at Computex, we saw something that was a little bit different from the company. It's called their Edge PSU series, and it's something that their current CEO, I think it was, like, had the idea. So essentially, what it is like, imagine a just a normal power supply that's compatible with, I think they're called dual chamber cases, which means you can put the power supply on the underneath or like mount it up on like behind the motherboard sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like dual chambers for like certain things. And they're popular now. Like a lot of cases that we saw were dual chamber at Computex. So basically what this does is it maintains the exact same dimensions of these ATX power supplies, but it actually turns it into an L shape at the very end. And if you see the image, what that means is that you have direct access to all the ports. And then they've also integrated a USB hub, because they've where the ports normally would be on like one side of the power supply, that can connect directly to the motherboard and things like that. So that L-shaped design makes, putting together a PC super easy. You don't have to thread the cables first. You don't have to worry about, and also let's say you change something from the power supply. If you look at your PC now and you go, okay, I need to add another PCIe cable to thread to my GPU. Like, is that going to be easy? Probably not, because the power supply is usually tucked in at the bottom now in most cases, and the cables, it's a mess of all cable. You're not going to have stick a finger in. You're going to have to pull apart quite a bit of your case just to be able to access it. This is like
unless
plug and
you've
play.
done what is it? The black ziploc cables.
Yeah.
What are they? Unless you've done that under your computer, and even then, I think it would be easier with this.
Accessing the PSU side is always hard. So this basically just makes it plug and play for a power supply. Now, it wasn't easy, so because the L shape actually shrinks the power supply part of the actual PSU, they had to work out different components. So, they're still platinum rated, which means they're super high-end power supplies, but they're also going to be gold-rated versions available in black and white. So basically, they had to source smaller German capacitors that could meet the performance level of the Japanese capacitors that most platinum-rated power supplies use. So they had to do some engineering to actually accommodate the L shape, so it doesn't stick. It's not like them sticking a panel with all the ports on the very end of the power supply. It's them cutting out a corner of the power supply to make access to the cables a lot easier.
Yeah, the footprint of the power supply remains the same, but there is just less mass of it.
Exactly. So they had to get
impressive.
Smaller components and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really cool,
and it's very cool. It's even better in person, and it absolutely deserved an award, because I wrote in my dedicated article on it. I think power supplies have really become stagnant in terms of at least the aesthetic design, because again, it's like redesigning the wheel. They can only get more efficient. Power supplies are probably the most underappreciated component in a PC, and they're the only component that relies on everything. You need that. Without it, you just got a box full of cool tech.
And the only real advancement in the past few years has been the ATX 3.1, whatever, where they added the new
smaller,
the 12 volt power connector for the new GPUs, the G4 stuff. So they that's directly on there, so you don't need the adapter anymore. That's been the only real change that I've noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, capacities have hovered around 1,000 watts for a while now.
Yeah. We did see a 2400 watt at Max, and I was like, oh my god, that's like an air conditioner. and
that's like a full-on heater.
Yeah.
Space heater.
Do you just want to keep going through this, or do you want to go into the AMD and NVIDIA news?
I
reckon we go into the AMD and NVIDIA news. Let's talk about that. We'll change it up a bit here.
Change up a bit. So obviously we'll kick off with AMD, because they had a lot of new product announcements, whereas NVIDIA was more about technology announcements or demonstrations, tech demos really. Well, there was a few updates and stuff like that, but yeah. So AMD came out, I would say guns blazing. I mean, they announced the Ryzen 9000 series, which is Zen 5. That's the next gen desktop CPUs. It's going to launch with the 9600X, 9700X, 9900X, and the flagship 9950X. Which means we're going to have to wait a little while for the X3D versions, which are normally the chips that are ideal for gaming because of the 3D V cache. But they've the big takeaway is that Zen 5, the new architecture from AMD, is not just a iterative update. They've done quite a bit of background things for how it handles bandwidth and data, and they said on average it's a 16% IPC, or instructions per clock, uplift for PCs.
Which is an important metric.
But not the be-all, end-all. I think where it gets more impressive is that it's the efficiency of it. So the flagship 9950X, 16 cores, 32 threads, 5.7 gigahertz. they didn't hit 6 like some people may have predicted. But
Mm.
needless to say, there's 80 megs of cache, but the 170 watt TDP or power rating is the same as the 7950X.
Yeah.
And this is obviously more powerful than that. So it's more efficient. Where it gets even better is that like when you look at the mid-range 9600X and 9700X, there's 65 watt CPUs that can be overclocked if you want to push them even higher. AMD confirmed that. But they're basically, they're equivalent to the current Zen 4s, like the 7700X are 110 watt CPUs. So these are using less power.
Wow.
More
That's
efficient
50 watts
and,
less.
and more powerful. Now,
Yeah.
this is a little bit different to what we've seen in the past couple of previous generations from Intel for the Core i9 flagships like the 12900K, 13900K, 14900K, and their like premium variants, which have just pushed power limits beyond 200 watts. I think even up to like 300 in some overclocked scenarios.
Until we got to stability issues as well.
Stability issues. So could AMD have come out and made the 9950X a 250 watt CPU that was even more performant with higher clock speeds? Probably they could have, but that's not what they're going for. So they reckon that, you know, just compared to the new flagship compared to the 14900K, less power and better for gaming and better for productivity, better AI performance, better graphics bandwidth with PCIe 5.0, and there's going to be new motherboard upgrades so that AMD can support faster DDR5 speeds, because currently if you want the fastest DDR5 memory for gaming, it's usually Intel kits or the Intel's XMP or overclocking profile, whatever, is faster than AMD's Expo. They haven't specified like how fast, but they're basically saying, you know, memory overclocking was an issue with the first version of AM5 motherboards and the Zen 4. But their new chipsets will support that. But the good thing is as well is that this 9000 series can already connect to all existing AM5 motherboards. There'll be a firmware update. So the AM5 platform remains the same, and it's going to be the same till at least 2027, they said. So even like Zen 6 will work on the same motherboard. So that's another cool thing that AMD is doing, is that they're not changing their chipsets or their whatever interface for the motherboard interface for this generation. And they kind of said that AM4 which was like Zen 2, 3, and 4 like has been around for almost 10 years now. So
yeah, that's why I'm upgrading. But you know, with a socket change, we always will see within the first couple of years there is going to be some problems. Like this is the trickle down effect. The firmware will get ironed out. You will get more updates, and with every new generation of CPU, we're going to get more and more stability. So it is to be expected that there is a bit of problems now, but like they said, with the release of these coming CPUs, we can expect a much more smoother ride.
No
I'm
pricing,
so excited.
But they're launching in July. And odds are we'll see the 3D variants by the end of the year. And that'll be interesting to see. Based on the performance uplift that we're seeing with just the desktop variants, we could be in for some really cool chips. So hopefully like a 9700X 3D will just be an absolute monster for gaming.
Yep. Yeah, I did a story yesterday that was a rumor from a source at Computex. Informed Club 386 said that Zen 5s, the X3D versions, will be released. Wait, where is it? I think it was like only 3 months after July. So July. Yeah, it was in record time because Zen 3 chips,
like
the X3D, X3D for Zen 3 came 18 months after the initial release.
That was like the first version of it, though. Yeah,
even the Zen 4. I'm just like illustrating that they are reducing in time. Zen 4 was 6 months later.
Yep.
So
3 months.
If it's 3 months, then that's crazy, and then we could probably eventually expect them to release alongside each other if that doesn't cannibalize their own stack. of CPUs. That's
well,
if that doesn't affect their profit margin.
They're also probably saving it too, right? So like Intel's next gen Arrow Lake, I think it is, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Arrow Lake, yeah.
Yeah, like if that comes out around that time, like October, because we saw motherboards for next gen Intel platform. Like, Intel is just wasn't quite ready to actually lift the lid on the actual real products that are coming. I mean, the word is they're all going to be great, but AMD came to Computex with stuff that you could see and you could play around with, which is what the Ryzen AI 300 series was about.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the 9000 series. AMD came with the world's best processor for Copilot Plus PCs, is what they're calling it. It's called the Ryzen AI 300 series. This is Strick's point. This was previously probably going to be named something else, but now AMD, for their mobile chips that have CPU, GPU, and NPU, it's now called Ryzen AI. And the first version is the new 300 series. It's got Zen 5 CPU cores, which is what's in the new desktop 9000 series. It's got its third generation XDNA 2 NPU. I don't know why, if it's third gen, why it's called 2. And it's also got RDNA 3.5 graphics, which is like some beefed up. It's not RDNA 4, but it's like improved graphics support. It's all on the same chip, and there's 2 chips coming. There's the flagship 370, HX 370, and also the 365. Now, before Computex, Microsoft announced Copilot Plus PCs with Snapdragon Elite chips, the ARM-based chips from Qualcomm, which are impressive, especially when it comes to battery life. The NPU.
Go on. Sorry.
Go.
No. I was just saying, they are impressive because battery life and the thinness of the Zephyrus and stuff like that.
Yep.
The Zephyrus had the Qualcomm. Pretty sure.
There was one that had, I mean, there were laptops with different versions. There was a Qualcomm version and an
AMD one.
And an AMD version.
Yeah. No, but you go on. Sorry.
Yes.
I was just butting in.
So Microsoft outlined that, you need 40 TOPS of performance to be a Copilot Plus PC. And, existing Intel APUs, even ones that they launched at the beginning of this year, failed to meet that specification. Even AMD's from late last year, they released just a refresh of, an 8000 series or whatever refresh it was. Not enough still. It was the 8040 series. Even AMD put it in their slide. They only had 16 TOPS of performance. And the Intel-Core Ultras, which launched earlier this year, only have 11. So the Snapdragon Elite X is 45. That's the best chip for Copilot Plus PCs and was the only chip that Microsoft could actually talk about when they announced Copilot Plus. But now there's the new Ryzen AI chips, and they're 50 TOPS of performance, which is why AMD is saying they're the world's best processors for Copilot Plus PCs. And based on the amount of ones that we saw, it sounds like the efficiency is going to be there as well, which will be very, very cool. So basically, this means you can run all of the Copilot Plus AI features, apart from recall, which is probably going to be recalled before soft launches.
Oh, we'll get to that, Kosta. Don't worry about it.
So it's got the next gen NPU, it's got the next gen Zen 5 CPU cores, and it's got RDNA 3.5. Now, what? So they're basically compared to the Snapdragon X Elite. There's no emulation required. These are x86 chips, which means that AMD is saying that graphics performance is 60% faster.
Yeah.
This is why also productivity, AMD is claiming, is way faster than Apple's M3 in the MacBook, which is, I guess, because they don't have M4s in their MacBooks yet. And, so they're basically saying it's faster than Intel Core Ultra, faster than the Snapdragon X Elite, faster than Apple's chips. And, there's going to be, and we saw a ton of them, there's Copilot Plus PCs with AMD Ryzen AI chips coming from Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, Lenovo, MSI, and
so many
countless more. But one part of it that I guess makes me want to have a rig with this compared to a Snapdragon X Elite is the fact that it's no emulation, but also you've got RDNA 3.5 gaming performance, which is 60% faster.
Absolutely.
They even like in game, like benchmarking against the flagship Intel Core Ultra, it's like 50% or 30 to 50% faster in a number of games. It can run most games at 1080p low to medium settings. That's for like AAA titles.
Yeah.
Obviously, like competitive titles, you can run with higher settings, and it's going to be low power, and and a number of these. And a number of these chips will be paired with like GeForce laptop GPUs as well for gaming.
Absolutely.
So like I think like the next wave of gaming laptops are all going to be the flagship Ryzen AI chip, and then like a 4070 laptop GPU.
Yep.
4080 laptop GPU, 4090 laptop GPU. And they're all going to be really, really cool, because then you'll be able to, at least when you're not gaming, you'll be able to just use the AMD chip and without tapping into the GPU, and you'll just have like enough power to be able to, even like, when you're not connected to power, to be able to game for a lot longer, depending on the title. But then if it's a demanding title, then tap into the GPU.
Yeah, look, I did the story on Asus's GeForce powered tough gaming Copilot Plus laptops.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, the ROG Zephyr.
Really cool.
Hold on, no, not the Zephyrus. The A16, A14, these look like beastly laptops. So we've got a Ryzen AI HX 370 processor with 50 TOPS of NPU, 233 TOPS of advanced AI performance with NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 laptop GPU with up to 100 watts of TGP. It's ultra slim. It's only 1.4 kilos, a thickness of 1.69 centimeters. And comes in. Yep. That's like, you have a on-the-go laptop, gaming laptop. I would like to know the battery life, or if you're like, say you're pushing the full specs of the device in like, I don't know.
I think like one of the spec
165 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, I mean obviously
2.5K resolution.
Yeah, obviously like running at full refresh rate, and that like that's going to drain battery, but like if you're looking at like conservative, like, battery saver mode and stuff like that, I think like even the flagship one is only like about, you can run it in 28 watt mode for like, for like high end sort of stuff. That's like, that's giving it a lot of power. The Ryzen AI chip at like 28 watts is like running it at full steam basically.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good, because you compared to traditional like laptops and stuff like that. And that's how you can get it like so thin as well. But they're also like stepping up their cooling game, and also with the Zephyrus models as well. Like there's so many cool laptops coming. I think
they
now,
look so sleek.
Yeah, I mean you can wait for like Intel's next gen NPUs, which we haven't really seen. AMD are predicting that it might be similar performance for like for AI, but then also the graphics is a big question mark. Like it's going to be Battle Mage apparently, which is the next gen ARC, but there's a question mark on like how that's really going to compare to RDNA 3.5. Because I mean, there's still like Intel's still playing catch up when it comes to graphics.
Absolutely, AMD is taking the ball and ran with it, and we're just watching them go. Did you want to jump to NVIDIA?
Yeah. So 2 really cool things that NVIDIA showed.
Talk about G Assist.
Yeah, is G Assist and the digital human stuff. So G Assist it's basically a general. So what I thought it was going to be was trained on a game, right? So like this is how it works. Like you're playing a game, let's say it's an RPG, and you want to know what's the best armor in the game, what's the best weapon in the game. Or you see something ahead, like an enemy, and you see like, oh, what's the best way to get rid of that enemy? And like, what's the weakness of what you see on your screen? And then G Assist will give you the answer, right? Yeah, it's like basically like a Google thing that is, like it's like you typing in like a walkthrough like on YouTube, like how do I beat this boss, and then you watch the video on like, oh, okay, so I need to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It'll tell you. But then it goes beyond that, right? You could be playing the game and you could say, hey, what's my performance? And it'll give you a real time thing of like, what's my performance? Like, how has this game been running for the last 5 minutes? What's been the average frame rate? Give you the answer. What's been the PC latency? It'll give you the answer. Say, can you overclock my system to get me more performance? It'll analyze and it'll do it. You say, can you make this game run at 60 FPS? It'll tweak the settings to do it. And this was all running
so good.
This was all running live in a demo. This is obviously like not real. I mean, this is not a full product that is available now. It's with developers, and NVIDIA is gathering feedback, but they had teamed up with the Arc developers, Arc Survival Ascended, to integrate Project G Assist. Now, the way it works isn't how you might think. Like, the way DLSS 1.0 worked was that the more you played the game, the better it worked. And then DLSS 2.0 switched to a general model, which was like train it on lots of games, lots of scenarios, and then just use that model to run on the tensor cores for any game that wants to put DLSS in. You don't need to train that game on DLSS. Like DLSS doesn't need to be trained on that specific game for like 2,000 hours for it to be compatible. That's how the initial idea of DLSS was before it changed. So this is like similar, where it's not trained on the one game. It's a general model. So like it knows about game genres. It knows
about a variety of different games.
A variety of different games and things like that, right? And then, but then it can also plug into, developers can plug into like, like either the game code or, like in-game support or data, or like if they keep their own wiki and stuff like that updated.
Well, I'm sure they could put their own like you said, their own Wikipedia, their own like even their forums or something like that.
That's right.
Inside of the knowledge database, which is then connected to the LLM, the large language model.
Also potentially what's out there as well. So what that means is that if they patch a game and they nerf a weapon, and then you say, what's the best weapon in the game? It tells you, hey, it's this, the giant sword X. And it's like, well, that used to be 3 weeks ago. That was the best weapon, but no longer is, because the AI model was trained on the game that doesn't exist anymore, a version of the game. That's why it's a more general model, which is what makes it more impressive. So in the demo, which Guillermo, I think his name at NVIDIA, he's in the, he's one of the key guys that actually worked on it, and he's in the video presentation that NVIDIA released before Computex. He was showing in Arc how it kind of how it scans, or how it almost is like a good version of Windows Recall, is how I joked to him, because it's seeing what you see. Well, it's not looking at you, but basically it knows what's happening on screen, right?
Yeah.
So if you say, what's that? Like, so in Arc is like, it has dinosaurs. If you say, what's that dinosaur on the left? Yeah. And then it'll, depending on, if it can see its full figure, if it's obscured by something, it'll come back with a response. It'll either say with certainty that it's this dinosaur, or it'd say, I think it's this. It's most likely this. Like, so even the AI can gauge whether or not, like, how you'll get an idea of like how certain it is on certain things. And it's a very natural thing. You can talk to it, or you can even just write in the text box. Now, the other example was just a general question of like, how do I tame that dinosaur? And there was usually like a default thing. It was just like tranq darts, like you tranquilize it, and and then you can capture it, or whatever it is, right? That's like the basic thing. And then he brought up his inventory and then typed in or spoke, I can't remember, either or, makes no difference. Said like, is there anything else that I could use to
with
tame,
what I have,
I have, to tame it? And then it scans your inventory and says, there's two options. You can feed it this and this, or you could feed it this and this, and that'll have this effect. And that's just based on your inventory. So you can see like the potential of this technology, like how, it's hard to see how. I mean, it's almost like a magic trick, right? Like,
Absolutely.
frame generation and stuff. Because when you see it in motion and it's instant, it's running on the GPU, right? This wasn't connected to the cloud. This is obviously
and it's not affecting your performance because it's using the tensor cores as well, right?
That's right. Yes, the AI model is trained like on NVIDIA's supercomputers, right? So the AI model is trained, right? And the AI model will get updated, but it's running on RTX hardware.
Yeah. So here's just another quick example of how you could use this tech in just a very fast kind of manner. Like you open up your stat page for your character. Where should I spend my next skill point? And then the Project G Assist says, given your current stats, you should consider spending your next skill point on stamina. Your stamina is currently 0.1 out of 100, which is crucial for running and performing actions without getting exhausted quickly. Yeah. Just something as simple as that. Like, I don't know what to upgrade.
But it's cool to be able to like have that'll just explain game specific. Like where it starts to feel like a magic trick is that because it's so game specific, right? So like the responses you're getting are specific to it being plugged into Ark Survival Ascended. So let's say you plug it into God of War or FIFA, right? Or something else. Like it's just going to be, a very different sort of thing, but it'll have access to all that same sort of like, data relevant to that game.
I wonder, I don't know if this is possible. I wasn't shown the demo, but it would be cool if Project G Assist could, if you wanted to get better at like a competitive game, like say Overwatch 2 or something like that, you could ask the AI, what did I do wrong during the last game?
Yep, you can. And there's historical information that it has access to, and you can say let's say that last encounter that I had with X dinosaur, like what could I have done better so I didn't lose as much health? And then it'll come up, it'll know what you did. I mean, this is just insane, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. I struggle to wrap my head around it because some games, like, let's say you plug this into League of Legends, right?
Yeah.
This is a 5v5. You can't win the game by yourself in League. Like, typically, of course, if you get fed, you can just stomp through. But, like, at the higher echelons of competitive play, the 5 players need to be working in unison for them to achieve, to win. So if you ask G Assist, hey, why did we lose that last battle or that last engagement? Will it start to blame other players? It's like, look, there's nothing you could have done there. It's like your AD carry died, you lost your support, he stuffed up.
Yeah. So that was like another example was that obviously it's like a gray area. So like there's anti-cheat stuff. So like having a live AI assistant while you play like a competitive game will obviously be blocked, right? Because like G Assist will be like a DLSS. It'll be adopted into the game. So it'll be a part of the game. You won't be able
developers
to like
have to certify
hack it into the game. And if you do manage to hack it into like a competitive game, most likely there'll be checks for that.
Yeah, it'll trigger the
anti-cheat. One of the things is for it to be able to review and provide feedback or even like summarize like your performance.
Yeah, I could see it being used, especially in a game like that's really dense, say Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's a perfect game
like
for it.
That's probably a perfect example for something like that. Just having a chatbot, because the game is so dense, and like even just the clothing and the fur and the animals that you kill. It's like, oh, I need to find a water buffalo because I need to complete this achievement for this thing. Where do you think I could find a water buffalo?
Yeah, and it'll tell
then
you. Yeah.
Ding ding, bam. Yeah, water buffaloes are X, Y, and Z. You can head in this direction because it knows where you're standing as well in the map.
I like how you can either like just chat or just type, just like with RTX chat.
No, it's really impressive tech. Do you expect this to be released at any stage, or is this still far away?
That's what I asked, and they're pretty cagey. Like, I don't think it's to be honest, they may launch it with the 50 series. They're probably aiming to get it into like a couple of games for the 50 series, and it may even be exclusive to the 50 series. Who knows? But whether it needs specific I don't think it needs additional hardware, but like who knows what they're doing. But like as of now, it's in the it's still in the like development stage. It's not in beta yet. So like it's in the hands of some developers and they're getting feedback, and they're also training. They can obviously updating the model and keep training it and coming up with ways to improve it. So this is like a generative AI specifically created by NVIDIA for helping you game. And the performance stuff is the easy stuff, because you can see, because like, you know, you press Alt Z, Alt R, you know, on your thing, and you get full readouts from the NVIDIA overlay of like latency, frames per second, blah, 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 blah. You
that's already being tracked.
All that sort of metric stuff is already being tracked. Yeah. But the cool thing is that you can just do it here. So you can say, hey, G Assist, it might be called obviously something else when it comes out. You say, give me like a graph of like my GPU power usage and performance, and it can. The cool thing is that it can just generate those charts for you on the fly. Like it has
can also lock your FPS as well. You can be like, hey, G Assist, can you lock my frames at 144 FPS and make sure my CPU doesn't reach over 65 degrees?
Yeah.
Or
one
like
of the
something
things
like that, and it can do that. Brian from Tech Yes City was telling me that he asked it to do something like that, and it worked. I think he undervolted his CPU and GPU with just a simple prompt. He's like, reduce performance by 25% and lock frames at 60. And it did it immediately. He said it blew his mind. He was like, wow.
Yeah. Because he's very similar in the sense that we both love when, like, you know, like let's say, because they had it running on a 4090, right? And it's drawing 400 watts of power, right? Yeah. And that's great because you're running X amount of frames. But I was the same. It's like, can we get it to, can we get the, like, you know, the amount of power that the GPU is like down, cut it by like 30%, but then just maintain a certain level of performance. And so it goes down from like, went from like 400 watts or 390
save power,
down to like 290. And then but the performance didn't drop as drastically. And it's just like, okay, so now you've just got like a way more efficient rig.
Yeah. Save your money. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You could even ask GSS to identify the spot where performance and power start to separate, if you know what I mean. Like your like the last 50 watts of the 4090 may not be as valuable as the first 50 watts in terms of the amount of power that you get for it.
That's right. Yeah,
so it's like the edges of the bell curve.
Scale. That's right. It's not a linear scale.
Yeah.
The more watts you throw doesn't correlate to more performance.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And the good thing about the NVIDIA 40 series is that they scale really well in terms of, you know, the lower the power, you still maintain a certain level of performance.
Do you want to switch to the first digital human?
Yeah, so this was the other demo at Computex. So NVIDIA Ace we saw last year, which was the very first demo of them showcasing a cyberpunk sort of like cafe and talking to a digital NPC. This is like, you know, think of Cyberpunk 2077, think of The Witcher, think of an RPG. You walk up to a character and you either type it in or you speak it out, and it's an AI that generates a response based on their personality, the story, quests, etc., etc. So it's less of, you know, just choosing from two dialogue options and getting two different responses.
Yeah, there's an AI director speaking through the NPC essentially, and the AI has contained all of the information that the player, within this demo, the player, the character has experienced so far.
Yeah, and it's a whole suite of technology that NVIDIA has developed alongside their partners, audio to face, Riva speech recognition, and there's a whole what I saw at Computex was that this was actually running locally now on a GeForce RTX GPU or GeForce RTX AI PC instead of like running on a supercomputer or in the cloud. And what it was a game demo that they first showed at GTC in March this year. Behind closed doors, it wasn't quite ready, I guess, for it to be playable by everyone. It's called Covert Protocol. And I think Ubisoft or a few other studios helped out with it. And it reminds me of it reminds me of like the early days of PC gaming in a way, where you're looking at adventure games like from LucasArts, and Sierra. Like you're looking at like, Monkey Island and the point and click adventure games where you're solving a puzzle or you're speaking to characters and things like that, or even like typing in commands in like ancient games. So you're in a lobby and you're basically trying, like the goal is to find X person and a room number. And how you go about it is, it's a full 3D environment, ray traced, looks stunning, and you like full first person movement. You walk around, and then when you get to a character, you could, you hold R to talk into the microphone, and you basically have a conversation with them. So, the first thing I do is like I go to the concierge and I say, like just like, can you tell me like, oh, what's happening at the moment? Just a general like, where am I, to trying to get information. And she says the name of the hotel and says it's a tech conference. I'm like, oh, have you heard of X, the person that I'm looking for? Like, I need to find his room number. I have no idea who it is. That's just the objective that I have. And they say, oh, he's one of the keynote speakers. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you very much. Then I go to like the main desk and try and sweet talk the lady behind there to try and get the room number, say we're old friends and et cetera, et cetera. And she says, no, obviously can't give you room numbers. It's policy. And then there's this other guy sitting on a couch and he's like a key character, but like he's like standoffish. His AI personality is rude and doesn't want to speak to anyone, like, abrasive. Like that's how he's been programmed. And the NVIDIA rep who was with me as well, I mean, there was still with Guillermo, and he goes, oh, you're not going to get much out of him, but you can go to speak to him. But like there's multiple ways to complete this, but like just fair warning, like he's just probably going to brush you off. And but I managed to like, well, it wasn't like circular logic or whatever. Like I didn't necessarily trick the AI, but kind of in a sense where I started playing up that I knew him and he's like, no, I don't know you. Like I said, well, the phrase I used was like, hey buddy, it's me. Like, haven't seen you for a few years now. Like, how you been? Like, that's how I kind of like open up the conversation. And then he's like, first of all, you're not my buddy. Like, I've never met you. And the response was like really quick too. And like, like
there wasn't a delay. Where it's pinging the cloud server. It's because it's all running locally. It's very like the latency is snap.
I used the word buddy, and then he said, like, I'm not your buddy. Like,
that's good.
That's like that added a layer where it felt like I was talking to a character. Like, obviously, like I know it's a game, right? Like, but it's a very, very cool game if it can do that, right? Like, it's pretty incredible. And then I played up some emergency, created some fake sort of scenario, and it convinced him. And the NVIDIA, I was like, oh, we actually haven't seen that before, where he actually got concerned. And then he went to the hotel desk, and then the guy goes, oh, if you follow him, and just stay out of range, like you probably hear like some. So I go, and then I managed to hear the room number. I was like, all right, bang, like solved it.
A unique way of going about that.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 other ways to do it. But what that kind of shows you is that, like, especially in like an adventure game or a narrative game, a Telltale style game, or an RPG where there's choice, where there's multiple paths based on your class, based on your character, all these sort of factors, right? It means that, like, if it works, there could be like multiple ways. There could be like 15 branching paths to get to a conclusion, and there could be like almost not infinite, but like it could be like heaps of different variations of like how this could play out, and there'll be all these different little changes depending on the AI, the responses, but the goal or the outcome is generally the same. And what that means is that developers don't have to code 100 different endings. You know what I mean? Or 100 different
everything becomes responses. Like Detroit Become Human.
Exactly. Like it reminds me of the Quantic Dream sort of game.
Yeah.
Where like, how they have like these complex flow charts, like at the end of you complete a mission, it shows you like how it could have went. And it's impressive, but like why that game took like 5 years or whatever is because they programmed every single variation. They wrote every single,
all the cutscenes,
all the dialogue and stuff like that. Yeah. So this demo was super impressive. Like, I mean, obviously it's not a full game. It's just a tech demo. It was one single location, a hotel lobby with 4 or 5 characters you can speak with. But these were all AIs, and all the tech that they were talking about, like, speech recognition. Like, I mean, my accent is kind of like neutral, but like the fact that it can just automatically, like, they had no issue understanding everything I was saying. Like, it wasn't like didn't stutter or didn't, like, I didn't get any sort of like, when, like, if an AI just shit the bed basically and just said like, or like, when, if you're playing a game and sometimes you get those generic responses, like when you bump into an NPC and it's like, can I help you? Sorry, I don't know that.
You're not meant to be here.
You're not meant to be here. Like, if it was some, like, I didn't get any of that.
Yeah, there was nuance to his response.
Yeah,
it
was
felt
really cool.
human. Yeah, that is awesome. I'm very excited for that technology to be implemented into a world as big as like The Witcher 3, because I can imagine my Geralt playthrough, like, say I did something completely different at the start of the game, like I didn't help the Baron or whatever, and now I walk into the not the first town but the second town, and the people have heard about my exploits, and I get a dynamic interaction with people throughout the world because of what I've achieved in it, and they also fear me because of the stuff that I've done that is not good.
That's right.
And I think, and I had this thought earlier, it would be cool if G Assist and this tech released, and this is this is the pipe dream. This is a pipe dream. Released alongside the 5090, which is then all of those techs fully integrated into GTA 6.
Yeah, that would be bananas.
It would be crazy, but I don't think that's ever gonna like. It's probably not gonna happen. But imagine being able to go throughout the world of GTA 6 with. Get rid of the G Assist. Just give me the...
Yeah, this is for like games that are probably starting development now, because like GTA 6 has probably got like a mountain of like dialogue that's already been recorded.
Yeah, but then put all that inside of the AI, and then let me go throughout the world and let the director natively and dynamically... I have interactions with the NPCs and they're dynamic from NPC to NPC. That will make the world feel so alive. So alive.
Like, to me, it's just the little things, right? So let's say The Witcher as an example. Let's say, or even like a Skyrim type game. You break into X person's house randomly and you stole something, and then one character saw it, and then you meet them somewhere else and it's story related, and the narrative of the quest or the story is set in stone. It's written by somebody already. But then the AI goes... like says, oh, remember when, like, like naturally puts it in the conversation, kind of like that when I said buddy, and he's like, I'm not your buddy. Like, he goes like, because look, I saw what you did at X person's house. Yeah, that's right. I saw you break in, and you're like, oh yeah, I did that like 5 hours ago. So like I don't trust you quite yet. So like
that's awesome.
It's baked into the character. So like the character doesn't trust you, but then it uses something that you did randomly. That it saw or whatever that they saw as a way to like feed that into the like it's those sort of little things that'll
I think it's got to be contextual for it to fit in. Like, it can't just be randomly referencing like, oh, I saw you kill that deer one time.
No. It has to be like
it actually has to fit into it. But yeah, I'm super excited for this kind of technology, because I think, look, if you want to save games like I mean, Skyrim is like an outlier, but I think Bethesda's creation engine desperately needs this technology, because you can get the customization of the creation engine and all of the beautiful aspects of that and how dynamic it can be, how much you can change, all of that stuff. But that engine is void of any kind of like hearty dialogue that is going to like carry, especially, I suppose I'm talking strictly about Starfield here. It's mind-numbingly boring dialogue.
It's very like I would say,
and like you talk to someone and they're like and then they're like, the camera is like dead center and they're like and it feels like I'm talking to a robot. Like I know I'm playing a game. It kills the immersion for me. So if you had this tech inside of Starfield, I reckon people would actually care more about carrying out the quest lines and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I see it as complementary, right? Like have your written dialogue that's pertinent to the game, but then you know, we've seen AI that all it needs is 3 seconds of your voice to be able to generate your voice, right? But then obviously like bake it in where it's like limited to the character in the game and you get paid for it as a voice actor because you're recording dialogue. But then also there's going to be AI generated supplementary dialogue using your voice as part of the deal, whatever. Like I'm not saying that this is replacing writers.
No, I want it to be used like
actors.
a tool.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be relied upon.
Complementary. Yeah, like it'll be awesome like that.
Absolutely. We should get back to
our awards.
Yes, let's get back to our awards. Where were we up to?
We were up to...
I think we're up to the colourful.
Yep.
So colourful, this PC looks really cool. I don't know what the temps are going to be like under that.
They had a whole like Colourful had a whole bunch of cool stuff. Like they
do, yeah.
Like GPUs, laptops, like all sorts of gear, right? They're a Chinese company, but they do great looking gear. Like they had one of the coolest booths in terms of like the amount of just like everything just looked really cool. But the Neptune series PC is what stood out to me. So this is a fully open, quote unquote, open case design. Now, open case design, you usually see them, you know, for benchmarking or whatever, just means that you see the full motherboard, you see everything. But this is a little bit different because there's going to be two versions. So this is an all-in-one PC that they're going to sell. So you buy this and it has a 4090, a high-end Intel CPU, memory. It has everything all in one. Or you buy it as a kit that you can put all your hardware in that you choose, as long as it's, you know, I mean, it supports regular size motherboards and everything else. But it is solid, like it's a full metal kind of like frame, and all you can really see is the kind of like the memory and like the fans.
Why did they choose to keep the memory exposed?
Because memory is like also like an RGB thing. Like it's but also
okay, yeah, I see.
They could have enclosed. I guess they could have enclosed it. So basically, it's just like you don't see the motherboard. It's like a fully enclosed. It looks like
what is that? Aluminum?
Yeah, it looks like a space station, really, and it's like liquid cooled though. So it's So it's not only just a PC inside this case. It's all. It's basically it's got a custom. They're calling it a full color water block, the shell that's covering all the components. Plus there's a water cooled AIO GPU with radiator as well.
What GPU is that?
I believe it was like a 4080 Super or something like that. Yeah, but that's because that's just a water block on it connected to the tubes and the big fan there, the radiator, triple fan.
It looks really cool though, I must say.
It's like a liquid cooled desktop PC. So it's kind of like
very cool.
Imagine like a whole PC inside of one of those cool water blocks, like a full metal water block, and that's basically what it is. And they're apparently going into mass production now, or like in the weeks following Computex, is what they told me, and then planning to make them available to pre-order and stuff like that in the coming weeks or month. So this was like one of those. I mean, we saw so many like PCs and like custom builds. And there's
it looks like a mod.
Yeah, this looks like like a mod, but this is something you can actually buy, and it is a very unique design. It stood out, and
for sure,
you know, going through it with the colorful people, they did talk about like how temps were a concern and things like that. Like the design took quite a bit of time and a lot of effort put into it, so I can only assume that all of that is true without actually testing it myself.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But
it's just what we saw, guys, and what we're told.
And then so it's earned an award.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Moving on, we got Phison's insane Apex storage X16 Gen 5 SSD storage card, pushing a staggering 54.8 gigabytes a second. Now, look, Phison, one of the world's leading SSD controller companies, they at their booth they had this monstrosity of a PC running with, they had we should have said this at the start, but all of what we're talking about there is images on screen. So if you are an audio listener, you should head over to the YouTube to see what what the designs are like. This was an open air kind of case. There's a big graphics card, big PCB in the PCIe lane, and 16 of these SSDs. I'm pretty sure they were, hold on, Ryzen E26 NVMe drives. And boy, they were moving some data.
Yeah, so it's like almost like a card, expansion card that slots into a full PCIe Gen 5 X16 slot, which is not usually where you put in a GPU. And like 54.8 gigabits per second, which is, I mean, it probably went a little bit higher than that or whatever. That's what we saw. Like we saw demos. They were running demos of it constantly, and it's insane. So it's like a single SSD with, what was this total storage capacity? I forget. Like,
wasn't it? Well,
they were 4 terabyte drives, right? So
4 times 16. Oh, I'm bad at math. 64. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could get
64 terabytes, dude.
So you could get all of the data off. Let's say that was like 5,000 movies of like full HD Blu-rays.
Right.
Who knows, right? Like on that.
Yeah.
At 54.8 gigabytes per second, you could just copy all of that data off in like minutes or whatever.
That's insane.
Which is
how
bananas.
much can be moved.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
so much.
We just see it and we just think about like, how, you could theoretically install or copy Call of Duty in like 3 seconds. And that's like a 200 gig game.
It's funny that's a benchmark. Oh, also sidebar. Did you hear that Black Ops 6 is going to be 300 gig?
That is so comical. I did see that, but like I didn't like read into it. But that is so comical.
Neither did I.
Dude.
But I saw the headline.
What are you doing? Like, have you heard of compression or what?
They just don't. They are on that Call of Duty schedule where it's.
What are you supposed to do with 300 gigs? Like,
I bet you most of the PS5s that are out there are base models with 500 gigs. That means they only get to play 1 or maybe 2 games.
In addition to Call of Duty, if you install it. Yeah, but what about also the the Xbox Series S, the digital one that's a 512 gig thingo. So you'd be able to install this in a handful of other games.
Wait, don't they have the base PS5 is 500 gig?
Yeah, it's about I think 600-700 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's only
because it wasn't a full terabyte,
okay.
Whereas the Series X was a full terabyte. Oh yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's only half, man.
You can have. It's only taking up half your drive.
300 gig. What? Anyway, we won't get distracted on that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations, Ryzen, for the collaboration with Apex Storage and your E26 SSDs. It was very impressive, and I didn't see anything else like it on the showroom floor. It's good to see this
in person. Like, I mean, how often do you get to see like speeds like that? We're never going to see. I mean, who knows?
I'm never going to be able to do that.
Like that sort of speed on a single
SSD. Jesus.
Maybe one day.
Sorry, to move Black Ops 6 over. That's what I need. Sorry. That's what I'm going to need that for.
Call of Duty is what we need.
Yeah, when Black Ops 9 releases and it's 5 terabytes, I'm going to need this Apex storage setup.
This is what Treyarch and Activision test their games on, like these sort of systems. That's why they don't care about releasing games out of 5,000 gig.
You'll see on the Steam requirements, you would need an Apex storage X16 type.
Oh, imagine that. Like, like where it tells you, like, it's usually like you need 30 gigs of free space. You need 50 gigs. It's going to say you need 300 gigabytes of free space. What are you doing?
All right. Let's talk about Corsair's 9000D. This Monster. I haven't never seen a PC. Well, actually, it's wrong to call this a PC because it's actually 2 PCs in the same case. This was one of the most impressive builds I've ever seen. I've been to Computex 3 years in total. COVID kind of stuffed it up for me at the start. But yeah, this was impressive, not only from the cable management, the color design, the multiple reservoirs, this was
the
a
amount of
behemoth,
RGB,
man.
the full liquid cooling. So yeah, so the 9000D. So they wanted to show this off. This is their brand new super tower case. So this is bigger than a full tower case. This thing is huge, right? So okay, like this is not for everyone, but
It's
this
the
won an
Great
award.
Dane of cases.
Yeah, but this won an award because they just went all out. It was so impressive. So this thing can support 21 120 millimeter fans, which we saw with like radiators. There's like 8 fans just on the front, and then like 10 on like the top panel, and then like on the back panel. So basically, it's got you can store 2 400 millimeter radiators on I think the front. Yeah, because why not? So basically, you can have a full ATX build in there plus a micro ATX build, which would make this kind of like, you know, if you're a streamer or content creator with lots and lots of money, that might be appealing to you and enough room. And to show it off, they basically decked it out with their full IQ Link fans, like 20 plus, full like liquid cooling for the CPU and GPU. The mini ITX build was there. The USB the I/O ports on the front also have like a USB hub as well that can be configured for either PC and connecting directly to like the USB headers. So it's actually really cool. Really cool how they handled that, as well as it has like an audio DAC as well, like has its own DAC as well that can connect to
the case has a DAC.
The I/O panel has its audio DAC, like so where you got the headphone jack is actually like a pretty good Corsair DAC in it. So that all connects through the USB header that links into the Corsair IQ software. It's nice. Bananas. And the cable management of it.
Oh, I'm just looking. That's the image I have up.
Yeah. So basically, we spoke to one of the main guys, right, that created the thing. And if you look at the open back of the case, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 tubes for like the liquid cooling, like big thick tubes feeding through the back. There's so much room for cable management. There's like 2 hubs for like I think 2 or 3 hubs for the fans and RGB lighting. So many like cables, but it's so neatly put together. Like apparently it took, I think he said it was like a full day and a half or something like that to build.
Yeah, just to build it and route it.
Yeah, it's bananas.
It is.
So the award is for
impressive.
The case and for how they presented this case. It's a monster. It's the biggest case we've seen, but also that you could actually do this. It's like so much liquid cooling in there. It's ridiculous.
Oh, pardon me. Just hit the sneeze. Had to mute the mic. Yeah, very impressive stuff from Corsair. The guy that built it, yeah, massive shout out to you, man. You knocked it out of the park and deserve I hope it got multiple awards, because like this thing, if it was next to you on the ground, might come up to your hip if you're 6 foot.
Oh, this is one of those things
the images don't like do it justice in terms of how big this is. It's really hard to understand especially from the first photo that you see.
Imagine like the first time you saw the PS5 and you're like, whoa, it's that big?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you'll have the same reaction, but like even if you've heard it was big. When
this is 3 PS5s high.
Yeah, this is gigantic.
Yeah, very cool. You should have a Google of that. And
the next award was a fun one. Obviously, we gave it to NVIDIA for their AI, basically the RTX AI PCs, which was the best AI that we saw. I mean, we loved the Copilot Plus AI laptops and stuff like that. But in terms of AI, Project G Assist, Covert Protocol, I saw a bunch of productivity AI demonstrations as well from NVIDIA that included like architectural walkthroughs with path tracing and DLSS and frame generation used for 3D modeling for businesses and stuff like that. It was all impressive stuff.
And overall, it's like stimulating the industry with their
right.
graphics cards.
And it's so
essentially powering all of we wouldn't have any of the. I mean, I suppose we would have them, but we wouldn't have them to the degree that we do now, and that is all of the large language models being powered by.
That's right.
By NVIDIA products. So we wouldn't have ChatGPT, or like the Llama model, Google Gemini. Like, this is why NVIDIA is now worth over $3 trillion, is because all of these companies are purchasing NVIDIA's workstation GPUs to train these AI models. So we gave NVIDIA an award for essentially stimulating the tech industry and powering this massive push into AI.
And at Computex as well, like Gigabyte's booth, Asus's booth, and MSI's, a few others, we saw like AI workstations, like with multiple GeForce RTX PCs running complex AI models, chatbots, generative AI tools, and things like that. So like all the really cool AI stuff, generative AI stuff, including like massive servers with like the new Blackwell hardware in it, like was, like it was all just NVIDIA tech everywhere. So, I mean, this is basically breaking it down to a single thing, but also as well, in a fun little thing as well, we kind of like, it's also partly because of Jensen being,
Jensen.
He's like a rock star in Taiwan. You can't understate it, because
he's more famous than the new president.
Yeah, every time we were in a cab or whatever, and there was a news running,
all about Jensen.
All about Jensen. Everywhere he went, like he
Elevators.
was followed. Hundreds of press were following him everywhere. He was signing things. It was almost like he was a rock star basically. His every move was being reported on. It was bizarre.
Yeah, like he was famous when I met him after like the first time I was in Computex. It was like just after his keynote, and he just like stepped down off the stage and was just talking to the press, and it was much smaller scale, if you know what I mean. It's very cool because you're like, oh, that's Jensen. Like he makes GeForce and like powers all my games for me. And he's also in that workstation kind of thing. But this was, I reckon, at the time when GeForce was more at the forefront of NVIDIA's, what would you say? What they're pushing into, like people were really excited about more GeForce news, but now he is so famous that there is no like, oh, well, I'll answer a few questions after the keynote. He's talking for like 2 hours about AI, about how and it's all enterprise stuff now. It's like GeForce has really been left in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, but also as well, like AMD had nothing to say about Radeon. Intel didn't really talk about it. Like, I mean, it's also like a timing thing, but I get it. Like, I mean, they did Project G Assist. Like, they were showing like cool things, but it would have been nice if there was like teasing like 50 series or AMD coming out with this is what RDNA 4 is going to do, and like acknowledging that, because a big part of Computex is PC gaming. I mean, all these cases, all this cooling, all these power supplies. I mean, what are they there for? They're not there just for AI. I mean, AI was the big thing, obviously, because it was like, you just have to say it because that's where the money is. But at the end of the day, it would have been nice to get a lot more gaming stuff.
Absolutely. Speaking of gaming, this thing blew my socks off. And I had the meeting with Ava Media, and I almost called you to come over and see it. See the product.
Yeah, you told me about it later, and I'm like, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, and it should have got every award, because as someone that owns a Nintendo Switch, is an avid Smash player, and also enjoys bringing the Nintendo Switch, and for that matter, any other handheld,
and I'm
to other people's house.
PC gaming handhelds. So this is
up your alley entirely. So what Ava Media have done, have made a capture. It's a capture card, but they call it a capture dock for all handheld devices. And we're talking the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, the MSI Claw, and of course the Nintendo Switch. Now what this does, you can... Oh, you don't have the link to the story in there.
Oh, yeah. There was...
That's all good. I got it. I just want to make sure I got all of the specs for it.
It's
right.
Evermedia's Extra Go GC515. So I think I read the story afterwards. Yep.
You got a HDMI in the back. So obviously you put your Nintendo Switch or handheld on top of the dock, HDMI out to your display. And all you need to do is press a tiny little button on the base of it. Well, it's not tiny actually. It's quite big, big.
It's like, and then the light goes red.
Card. Yeah, it's light goes red, and it's recording directly to a micro SD card on the back of the device. And you have the option of connecting it to your PC. So if you're streaming, you can be capturing your stream from your Nintendo Switch or handheld straight to an SD card, which is great for clipping up later.
It's also a dock.
It's also a dock, so you throw out the old. Well, you don't throw it out, but like get rid of the Nintendo Switch dock.
Like a charging dock, yeah.
Yeah. It will charge your device, and I'm pretty sure you got a USB-C out, don't you?
Yes. Yep.
See, that's good because in wait, I'm just having a look at the back here. Oh yeah, though that is your that is your
video out.
Your video out. It can be your video out as well, which is mad. So what capture frame rate and resolution
it's like 4K 30 because it's like HDMI 2 standard, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which I mean, these handhelds
2.1.
Well, these handhelds they're not designed for that, man. Like it's not required. Like a Steam Deck is not running 4K 150 hertz. It's like none of these handhelds are pushing beyond like 1080p or 1440p or 1600p at 60, which is what this can do quite comfortably. Like it's not required. So, I mean, like from an actual device perspective that we saw at Computex, this was one that we could see. I could see 1,000 people buying this on day one.
100%. Everyone that plays
minimum.
Smash Bros and makes content on Nintendo Switches.
Anybody that's a Nintendo Switch content creator, this is what you want.
100%.
If you're gonna pick up a Nintendo Switch 2, this is what you want. If you
want to go,
Steam Deck. If you capture hardware, like if you have a gaming handheld, any one of the PC gaming handhelds, and you want to capture footage, this is it. If you want to capture footage to be able to get it onto YouTube, either just for yourself or content creation, this is what you want.
Yeah, you go into a friend's house and you want to record the Smash matches you have. While like just for fun, because you do cool stuff, or Mario Kart for that matter. It doesn't have to be Smash, but I know the Smash community is massive on recording their gameplay because competitive game and all. Yeah. This is it. This is the device. All you need is an SD card, and you plug this thing in. Boop, you're now recording.
Yeah, one button to record. It takes something that. Like it's not groundbreaking in what it does, right? Like the actual components. Like you can record Switch gameplay. You can record gameplay from a Steam Deck if you have like an external capture card. If you set up a whole bunch of cables and sit it down and then do this, make sure it's charging and all this sort of clutter. But this is just like creates like the perfect little thing. Like
this is a solution.
Dock. And you can play on it. You can just keep playing it like even without a screen. Like you're just recording your gameplay with like a Bluetooth controller as well connected, or a USB controller, and because it also a dock as well. Like you can just like play with the handheld, like sitting on like a desk recording as you're playing. Like how great is that? Like just that on its own is like that's got value.
Absolutely.
This was an immediate sort of like yes for an award from us.
Yeah. Immediately. As soon as I saw it, I was like, are you serious? I saw the value
and you told me
quickly.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I heard, like, because I remember they released a press release that they were doing something like that, like a capture dock for handhelds. I'm like, that sounds interesting. I'm wondering how it works. And then you explained it. I'm like, oh, dude, that sounds like I need to have that.
We threw an award at them so quickly for that. That was... Yeah, look, very cool. If you are a Nintendo Switch or handheld owner and are looking to make your recording process a little less convoluted, because I'm sure, like you said, there is ways to get around it. You can, I mean, people are recording their Switch gameplay now. But if you are looking to get into it, or you don't like all them cables, or the process is still a bit of a pain in the neck, this is coming out when? When is it coming out? Or is it out now?
No, I think it's like in the next Q3, I'm pretty sure. But
most of the announcements we saw are Q3.
It's this year. We'll be getting
review
samples because I reviewed the last 2 capture cards from NVIDIA, the HDMI 2.1 ones, and they're both great because they've actually updated them where you can actually record 4K 144 hertz DRR gameplay on them. Like for modern consoles and modern PCs, they're brilliant. There's an internal and an external version. So, I mean, based on what they've done with those, like really great performance. I'm excited to go hands-on with this. The NVIDIA Extra Go is what it's called.
Keeping it on handhelds, talk to me about the Zotac Zone.
Yeah. So
I didn't get a chance to fiddle around with this, but it looks chunky, big.
It's kind of like a Steam Deck almost, or ROG Ally. Not much more different. They're very similar, these PC gaming handhelds, in terms of dimensions.
I don't love it.
You don't love the chunkiness?
Nah.
But it is comfortable and ergonomic. That's the main thing. Like like half of it is weight distribution and ergonomics, like with a headset. You know, a 500-gram headset can be more comfortable than a 350-gram headset if the ergonomics and the weight distribution is better. So like they nailed that side of it with this. There were so many gaming handhelds at Computex.
Yeah.
And I chose this one because I checked them all out for a few reasons. Mainly because the design, it seems that Zotac is kind of, I wouldn't say copying, but they're like taking all of the elements from various devices that people love. So like the only OLED PC gaming handheld you can get now is the Steam Deck OLED, which is a refresh of the Steam Deck that has an AMOLED display. So this is the only Windows gaming handheld coming in and out this year with a OLED display, 120 hertz OLED display. So you get like that vibrant, crisp color, low response times, which is just great. It makes games just look better. Like if you've seen the Nintendo Switch OLED refresh compared to the original LCD Switch, if you have them side by side and you play Metroid on them, you will be like, okay, they're different games, even though they're the same game. Like OLED makes a difference when it comes to gaming, as we know, like a PC monitor. So like that's like tick one. But also like it's got incorporating some really cool design. It's actually taking the trackpads from the Steam Deck, which are the 2 little square things that you see in the bottom corners of the Zotac Zone. And trackpads, they're basically just like, you know, you can move the mouse around. It's actually more helpful for a Windows gaming handheld than it is for the Steam Deck, which has a custom OS. Okay. Now the joystick configuration is kind of more like a PlayStation, where they're parallel, the left and the right sticks. So if you're a PlayStation gamer, this would be the gaming handheld to go for. I prefer the other style, but like it didn't really bother me one way or the other. But the actual like buttons and the joysticks, they're all Hall effect. They're all like really high grade. The triggers all high grade as well, and it has a full size SSD slot in it, which is what is in the new ROG Ally X refresh. So it's like a full M2 2280 Gen 4 SSD. So you could swap out the SSD with like a 4 terabyte SSD right off the bat, which you can get like affordable ones. So like this is easily upgradable, and it's got the Ryzen 7 8840U processor, which is the most powerful outside of the new AI ones which are coming out, and like Ryzen chip with NPU and GPU and Radeon 7080M graphics, I think it is. So you know, I got to see Forza Horizon on it, which was running great. Cool. It was running obviously like 1080p with like medium, I think, kind of ish settings, but on
was it hitting display. 120?
No, I think it was hitting like about 50, 60, around about there. It was pretty stable. Like 120, you're going to get like stuff like Hades or 2D style games. You'll be able to get like that full smoothness, which will be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that looked brilliant on it. I would definitely say yes to this. Like if I was getting a handheld, I would consider picking this one up. And that's kind of one of the reasons.
800 USD. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. I'm hoping that they bring the price down to about 750 or 700, because I think the going OLED obviously increases the price.
Yeah.
But it is a premium gaming handheld, and it's really impressive. keeping on like the gaming handheld thing, that there was the ROG Ally X,
Yeah.
which is a refresh from Asus. They made it like more ergonomic. They updated all like the curves on it, so it feels better to hold. They changed to like a full size SSD, just like in the Zotac Zone, so you can upgrade it more. They added more memory, up to 24 gig, I think, or 32 gig, and that actually correlates to performance because it's more VRAM, because it's shared memory, because it's a single chip. The CPU, everything shares from the same pool of memory, just like with a Switch, whatever the case is. And yeah, and it's black, and they just made a bunch of refinements and like double the battery life. So the ROG Ally X refresh is actually a really good refresh for the ROG Ally. If you're a fan of that, and if you were thinking about picking up an ROG Ally, it's worth holding out for the ROG Ally X. It's not going to be cheap though. I mean, because there is that ROG
tax
price. Yeah. So it's more expensive than the existing ROG Ally, which was significant to begin with.
Yes.
A couple of the other handhelds quickly, just because there was just so many. Yeah, so ANTEC. It was an interesting one because the ANTEC Core HS is essentially a rebadged or rebranded ANAO slide. And the ANAO is a really cool brand out of China, but they only release their stuff via Indiegogo, crowdfunding, sort of like sales. And they have a lot of like really cool stuff. So the slide is one of their premium Ryzen handhelds that has, decent cooling, thin form factor, looks really cool. But it's basically like an old PDA, or like in one of those old Palm Pilot like personal assistants where the screen slides up and you got a full keyboard.
It's bizarre, dude.
It's bizarre. So basically, to me, it makes it like a gaming handheld as well as a portable PC.
Yeah.
So you could use it for emailing. It's actually kind of like interesting. Like I would just be wondering like how it would be for like, using it for like email. So instead of like taking a laptop with you, you just use that. If you know what I mean? Because it's a Windows. Runs Windows.
Have you seen the keyboard in person?
Yeah, I know they're tiny, right?
You have to have like hobbit fingers to be able to use this thing. There is no way that keyboard is hilarious. You got to use it like when you're holding it in your hand. My thumbs are quite large. You will end up pressing multiple keys at once. I don't know why they decided to go with the traditional keyboard.
Yeah, it's weird because like ANO, when they launched the slide, right, they launched one called the Duo, which was, it slides up and it was 2 screens. So it was like a Nintendo DS. Yeah. Like a 3DS. Like I would have assumed they would have went with that one. You get
like they've even got the arrow keys from the keyboard on the, like they have arrow keys, but you've got joysticks, like the controllers. Like, what are you ever going to use the arrow keys for? You know what I mean? Like, they've got the full keyboard. It doesn't make sense.
No, I mean, I just want to play around with it. Like, I wouldn't choose that as my handheld.
So do I. But I just, that's really... But when because I went to the ANTEC meeting and they slid up the display. I'm like, oh, like, ew, what is that? What have you done there? And they're like, oh, we thought we'd put the full keyboard on there so you could type. And I'm like, all right. What, who is going to be typing?
I knew straight away, like when I was like, oh, so did you see the handheld? And your face was like, yeah. I mean, it was just because the full keyboard thing was like.
It looks like, and it felt good in the hand as well. And I prefer the kind of the asymmetrical joystick setup. I like that. I think it is comfy in the hand. It felt a little cheap and flimsy, but as soon as they pulled out that keyboard, it just like took me back to what is that toy that everyone had? That was a keyboard.
What, like?
No, like it's like a kid's toy,
whatever it was. Yeah. What is it like? Where you type it in?
Yeah.
Fisher and Paykel something.
Yeah. So whatever that is, that's what it reminded me of, and I'm like that. That's not good. It shouldn't be doing that. Doesn't look too great, this thing. I'm not that impressed, but I mean, look, the 1080p IPS, 368 PPI, 400 nit brightness. This is pretty stock standard stuff for a handheld. Yeah, but
decent display though. All said and done. A decent display, yeah. But
like stock standard. Yeah, but it's $900.
Yeah, even more because of the keyboard and the slide.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why stick with the Zotac Zone.
Yep.
There was
And that's why I got an award.
one final gaming handheld prototype from XPG, the XPG NIA, which is ADATA's gaming focused brand, XPG. Extreme Performance Gear, I think it stands for. Anyway, the this one is promising. So it was a prototype, so obviously not final hardware, but it has some cool features. It has a tiltable screen and like a stand, which is cool for like being able to play. You're holding the handheld in different positions and not straining to be able to view the gameplay. But that's not what makes it interesting in my opinion. So you've got a standard SSD as well, which is what we're seeing now with a lot of these handhelds, up to 2 terabytes, which is really cool. But it has the new CAM2 memory modules, which are like the flat memory that we saw.
New form factor.
So like high speed memory, LP DDR5X. So that's really cool. But the other thing that it's got is apparently the AMD chip in there. XPG is saying it has exclusive foveated rendering functionality from AMD. So it has like...
Hold on. I want to stop you here. Are we allowed to talk about this?
Yeah. That's...
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because I know there's something that we're not allowed to talk about, but I'm not 100% certain on what that is. So I might just be quiet for a second. And that's something to do with the eyes.
I put it in the quotes. Yeah, so there is, like, on the actual spec sheet when it had there, like, this is how you put 2 and 2 together, right?
Okay.
So it has a front-facing camera with eye tracking. That's confirmed. Yep. They haven't said what it's used for. And they've said it's got exclusive foveated rendering functionality from AMD. So those are the 2 things.
Figure that out for yourselves, fellas.
Yeah, so basically, my guess, which is, like... goes down to how PlayStation VR2 works.
Yeah.
PlayStation VR2 has eye tracking and it has foveated rendering. What that means is that where you're looking is this is PSVR 2 tech. Where you're looking is where it actually renders the higher quality models and textures. And what that means is...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, what that means is that for VR, they can hit the 90 hertz or the 100 FPS that you need for it not to give you motion sickness.
Yeah.
It's more performance. So in the case of this XPG NIA, put 2 and 2 together, it probably means that this is going to be able to run games faster than other handhelds.
It'll be different.
Based on
a
similar sort of PlayStation VR 2 method of doing so.
Very well done, sir. You just danced your way over several lasers. I commend you and tip my hat to you, good sir.
Sorry, I know how to dodge lasers.
Yeah, you are known for that. I have heard it. I'm excited to see what they do. In a nutshell, the new XPG handheld will use a different rendering strategy that will be different from most other handhelds, if not all of them that are currently on the market. And I like an underdog, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Same. Like this has potential and I'm really keen to see more of it. So what we saw was a prototype. So there's features under wraps.
Yeah. That tech could not even be in the final product. They could axe that. I doubt they are going to because of how impressive
it could potentially be.
Yeah, that sounds. But yeah, it's coming. Something's coming.
Speaking of like game-changing things, before we go back to the awards, there was one MSI Gaming Monitor that could change gaming forever and ever.
Yeah, this thing, it feels illegal that it even exists. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I've been talking to MSI. They're definitely going to hook me up with one. I don't know when that is. I have to respond to the email actually. So this monitor was originally spotted at CES, but it had a little bit more integration at Computex. At CES, we saw it running on, I'm pretty sure it was League. And that was, it was League. absolutely infuriating for a lot of people, and that's warranted, I believe.
Yep.
Because this display completely circumvents any anti-cheat technology that is baked into your game. So you got like Steve Vanguard, easy anti-cheat, all of that completely circumvents it, skips over it. Whoop. Don't need it anymore. Not detected. It has an inbuilt NPU into the monitor, so it is running a machine learning algorithm of some proprietary software. Hey,
it's a 32-inch 4K OLED.
Yeah, I haven't even got to the specs yet. 32-inch 4K OLED, 0.03 ms response time. Thanks to that glorious QD OLED pixel technology, 240 hertz refresh rate. So this thing is the cream of the crop, as I would call, in terms of gaming monitors. This is the best experience you can have at the best size, with the best pixel technology as well. And then on top of that, it has what is called SkySight. And it is what MSI calls the world's first true AI gaming monitor. Now, what this does, it is using image recognition technology that would detect things on screen, such as your health, sharpness, etc., ammo, all of that, and it will give you visual heads-up indicators through a heads-up display. That could be a flashing red light, or if the game is integrated with this monitor, like the demo that I was shown was with Monster Hunter. I can't remember what one it is. The latest one.
Oh right, yeah.
What will happen is as you're shooting, the light at the bottom of the base of the display will start going down in,
so it can
color.
represent your health bar.
Ammo.
So like,
your
it'll
ammo.
look on this. So it'll look on the screen.
Yeah.
Know what your ammo is, and then you can just have a light, like the light bar can be like a massive bar, which is kind of cool.
And this can be changed in the MSI's OSD, the on-screen display options. You can head into the monitor settings, go over to AI SkySight, and then go down to ammo indicator. Or I haven't played the Monster Hunter games, but I'm guessing Spirit Slash is an important indicator of some kind. Spirit Slash indicator, sharpness, health indicator, or turn it off entirely. Now, this is clearly cheats, just straight up. And the fact that it is not using any software from the game files, it is literally just rendering, just scanning what's on screen and providing you information on what that is. It would circumvent any anti-cheat kind of thing. I asked this to MSI and I said, you're making a monitor that's got cheats on it. How is this? And they're like, yeah, we know. I'm like, okay, so how is this going to work for like competitive gaming? And they're like, we're not going to allow this monitor to be used in competitive gaming.
Yeah.
And I say good luck to that, good sir. Because it is going to be used in competitive gaming, 100%.
One like feature, like they're going to make the AI model available. So if you've got whatever, you can use your GPU to train on any game, and then and then you can upload that to the monitor. So then it runs on the NPU based on, like, let's say you play whatever, like, I mean, obviously, like, how they're going to restrict competitive games, I don't know. But how like, they're going to do it. If it's like a, unsupported game, or like something that you play that's like 10 years old and you could train it on that. It's kind of cool that you can actually custom train the AI model.
Yeah, so here's what MSI said. Upgrade AI is also a feature of this monitor. Gain access to a fully trainable AI model that you can train to fit your game-specific needs. These custom-trained AI models can then be uploaded to your monitor with a simple firmware update. So, okay, let's say League is banned because it will give play. Like if you were running this with League and you were fighting someone in one lane and you didn't see on your minimap a enemy player popping up, this monitor would do like a flashing arrow down at their minimap and be like, hey, look down here, look down here. So it's clearly an advantage in a competitive setting.
Yeah.
I don't know how people aren't just going to upload the game. I'm sure it's not as easy as this, but like upload the game files, train it on their PC, and then re-upload that profile for someone else to download. I reckon what's going to happen is you might not be able to play certain games, competitive games. They're going to have to block like the serial number for this monitor, like the MRX, what is it?
like
MEG 321 URX AI monitor, whatever the long, really long product model number is, that I reckon that's going to be banned in certain competitive settings.
That kind of like affects its value, right? Because then if you can't play certain 100%. Games with a monitor, that's kind of weird. Like it's like, well, I want to play some Apex, and it's like, no, I can't play because
you bought an AI powered monitor.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of, it's cool, but
it's very cool. I want one.
It's kind of similar to G Assist in some way as well, like what NVIDIA's doing. But obviously NVIDIA's version is like a bit more complex because the AI is running on the RTX GPU and not like an NPU in the monitor.
And this is running in real time.
But this is
providing you real time information.
Yeah, real time, like on screen.
Yeah,
like processing, like, and you can train it on different games. I don't know, it's kind of cool.
It's very impressive on paper, but I can't get out of my head how much people are going to kick and scream about this monitor being available to purchase. I know that they said that you won't be able to use it for competitive games, but I'm sure that the people that are buying this monitor, they are probably inclined to figure out how to get it to work with a competitive game. Like it's not. I don't think it's going to take very long. But I'm going to get one to test, and I'm going to see if I can break the AI. Maybe try and get it to work on a different game. But MSI did tell me that it's currently only working with the Monster Hunter title. So not sure.
Like as long as they can gatekeep it, like in some ways.
Yeah. Like imagine this being used for Valorant or like CS, any Counter-Strike game.
Yeah.
It'll just, especially those tactical shooter titles where you die with one mistake. Like this monitor could give you
like
maybe half a second on top of your competition, and that is all the difference.
But let's say like you had like a first person shooter, right, or like Battlefield, and like based on like, because like distance dictates where you need to aim, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say it's like a glowing dot above players' heads to get a headshot. Like as long as you aim for that, like with a bullet drop and the distance, like it knows the size of the person, right? So it knows how far.
Yeah.
So it's trained on it. And there's just like this bright dot, and then all you're doing is looking around the screen, shoot that dot, shoot that dot, shoot that dot.
Yeah.
And
now you're playing Osu. You're not even playing Battlefield anymore.
And you're getting headshots left, right, and center, right?
Yeah.
That's like immediate. Yeah, that's straight up cheating.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting technology. I've never seen it implement anything like that before. Especially at Computex, probably the main monitor news from Computex was a lot of like dual mode monitors that can go from like 480 hertz at 1080p to like 240 hertz at 4K, and that both of those refresh rates and resolutions have native inbuilt support now, which is really cool to see. A bit of backwards compatibility. Like if you roll your monitor back to 1080p, you now have the option of boosting that refresh rate instead of just being capped at whatever your monitor's cap was before. That was really nice. But yeah, that monitor, that's something special. What else do we have here? Because we are running out of time. We got to run through the last ones.
We'll go through the last awards, but before we do, I need to take a quick break.
All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. I had to take a bit of a potty break, but we are straight back into it with the final 4 awards that we gave out at Computex. We saw the ZenBook, the S16 Copilot Plus AI PC powered by, again, Ryzen AI 300 series. This thing was very impressive.
Yeah. This, like ZenBook 16, it's 16 inch. So it's got a 16 inch 3K 120 hertz display, and it's thinner than the MacBook. Like it is an ultra thin laptop and lightweight too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the full 50 TOPS of AI performance of the flagship Ryzen AI, as well as the Radeon 890M graphics. So this of RDNA 3.5. So this could actually run games pretty well. Most games. So it's like super impressive. But also it's like, it was one of the most stylish laptops we've seen. It's kind of funny because Asus created a new, I mean, who knows, like brand new material for the lid.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I was going to bring
Ceraluminum.
up. Yeah, ceraluminum, which is a combination of what
Aluminum
materials?
and something. I don't know.
It's some special proprietary material, and the entire outside of the laptop is coated in it, and it feels fantastic.
Yeah, when it's
It feels,
closed,
yeah,
1.1 centimeters thick, and but then that layer of like that stuff, and it's got like even like the for cooling, it's got like machine like little vents or holes that are water and dust proof. So like they're so tiny, like the vents can obviously feed it airflow or whatever, but also they're dust resistant and water resistant.
yeah,
Like this is a premium. This is like if you're looking for a Copilot Plus PC that's stylish, powerful, great display, like obviously high end performance as well.
yeah. This is their flagship. I remember during um the media event, not for ROG but for Asus.
Yeah, like that.
This
Asus,
was the forefront of what they had in the middle of the screen, and that's usually what they're most proud of. And look, they deserve all of the awards that they get for it. It was a very impressive device. We weren't able to sit down and use one, but we did fiddle around. We went hands-on for a little bit. Checked out the MPU and the task manager. That was pretty cool to see a new section of the task manager.
Yeah, it's got the Copilot key as well. It's always fun to see that now on all these laptops. Yeah, it's only 1.5 kilos as well. It's got packed with ports. It's even got like a full-sized HDMI port they some managed to squeeze on the side. I don't know how.
I don't know how they did it either.
But they did.
Very, very cool stuff here from Asus. Do you want to go to the next one? MSI's new flagship GeForce RTX 4090 24 gig Supreme Fusion. Now, this was a partnership between MSI
that was a different one. No, this is all MSI.
Oh, that was the Palette one that had the partnership for the cooling. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
So this will. I mean, this is probably going to be for the 5090. Let's be honest. I mean, why would you release a 4090 flagship in October 2024 if there's a 5090 coming out in November 2024? That's hypothetical. Nothing's confirmed, but I mean, nobody confirmed with us, but I kept asking everybody when you're expecting the 5090 series, and everybody was like either Q4 this year, like that's their expectation. The expectation is that, I mean, obviously if there were agreements in place, nobody broke NDA, but the general feeling from pretty much every industry insider as well as company at Computex was that they're on track for later this year. And we've even heard rumors now that they might be Q1 2025. But whatever the case is, this was one of the reasons why we didn't see a lot of brand new GPU designs, because there are new GPUs around the corner. But MSI had a couple, and we awarded the flagship Supreme Fusion an award because of, I mean, it's a monster, right? It's 4 slots, but it has an integrated full AIO cooler, radiator, and fans already in the GPU. So
very nice.
In the news story, which I'll need to link to in that piece as well, it basically, like when you pull it apart, like you see like that it's got a low profile pump, like as you do, like, you know, if you install a cooler on your CPU, right, the pump goes in the CPU and then the radiator and the fans. So basically this has like the pump, these special custom patented pump and like short run cables, and it has like a liquid reservoir, like it has like it's a proper liquid cooling system in this one. That's all just in the GPU. Now, what does that mean for the GPU? It means that it's almost 4 slots thick, which is chunky. Well,
what's a 4090 reference?
3.5.
3.5. So it is impressive.
Yeah,
it is impressive that they've squeezed this entire AIO into 0.51 slot.
Yeah, and it'll be quieter. It'll be able to be overclocked right off the bat a lot faster than a standard air-cooled GPU. Yeah, so it's this will be MSI's flagship, right? This will be not necessarily in terms of like they'll have a flagship air-cooled GPU as they
Of
normally
course,
would,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But this will be like the Halo product for the 50
Yep.
series.
Yep.
The
Very
Supreme
cool stuff
Fusion.
from...
Yeah, there's going to be reviews of this. There'll be like a lot of this is like a sports car, really. Like it's not really attainable by most people, nor would you want to spend however much it's going to end up costing. But in terms of like a cool like design, yeah, it's well worth the award for like, this is like when you see a nice piece of equipment, doesn't matter if it's out of your reach, you just got to be impressed, and we were impressed with it.
For sure. ASRock with its X870E Tai Chi. ASRock unveiled a massive selection of new motherboards at Computex, both for the next gen Intel and AMD platforms, which are, well, we talked about the AMD platform that was announced, and all of these motherboards will support the coming new CPUs, and I decided to give an award to this Tai Chi board in particular. I loved the design. I need to get my news on it. Hold on.
And and also like the Tai Chi boards from ASRock, usually the high end ones, or the ones that have like just stacked with features.
Yeah, they're the highest
and
end ones.
They're comparable to like even like more expensive boards from the likes of like MSI or Asus or Gigabyte.
For sure.
Yeah, and 870E is the new chipset, or AM5 chipset, which now has the broader. I think we spoke about it. What it feels like hours ago now is with like faster memory, overclocking support, and I think the other thing is like USB 4 is now standard, as well as full PCIe Gen 5 as well as standard.
So this board in particular supports AMD Ryzen processor series 9000, 8000, and 7000.
Yep.
It comes with 27 power phase, 110A SPS, 2 times PCIe 5.0 times 16 slots, 4 times DDR5 DIMMs, 1 blazing M.2 PCIe Gen 5 times 4, 3 Hyper M.2 PCIe Gen 4 times 4, dual USB 4 Type-C ports, Realtek 5 GBE LAN ports, and a bunch of other really high ends. Like this is a motherboard that you would buy and probably have for the next 5-6 years easily, maybe even longer.
With dual Gen 5 16 slots, you could put that the Ryzen Monster storage card in there as well as a GPU.
Yeah.
So you could put like a 4090 and that crazy. All you need is just basically like a riser, Gen 5 riser cable, because obviously like there's going to be spacing issues trying to fit
you're going to have clearance problems.
2 monster things in there. But like the fact that you could have that and that on the single board is pretty impressive as well. But this is like stacked with features.
Absolutely. This is probably the board that I'll be building my new gaming PC with. I'll be asking ASRock for one of these, please. Please, good sir. What else do we have here? We got the last one.
Yeah,
last one was very fun. I wasn't there for that.
It was
maybe
Cam
you
and
could
I. This is like random. So the Pro Gamers group, right? So they cover like a whole range of brands, including like Ducky and for keyboards and Nitro Concepts, but a few different like the European. They cover like cases, peripherals, audio equipment, all that sort of stuff. Pretty much everything with a bunch of different brands. And Nitro Concepts is one of those, and they're just like passionate like group of people, and they're mainly known for creating like chairs, like gaming chairs, right? Like and they are like racing style chairs. And I got to meet Henry from there, and basically we just saw that they had like a couple of like racing rig setups, and this is like one of those random things. I'm like, oh, so what is all this? And he explained what he and his team have been doing, and like he's a passionate sim racing fan.
Yeah.
And so what they've created is a fully modular, customizable racing sim setup that starts as low as $300-$400 US.
That's amazing, considering
like,
that it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
And when you go up the stack, like it's only like a little bit more for the extra features, right? We're not talking like all up. It's going to cost you. I mean, obviously with a PC and all the equipment, it's costing. But like this is an affordable way to get a racing rig. And Nitro has gone so far to have an optional. They've gone so far as to create like just a nice ultra wide display that will be affordable, that you can, fast IPS 144 hertz just to get you started, or just to get that ultra wide immersion there as well. But like the cool thing is that the full system is actually compatible with all their racing chairs, all their gaming chairs. So you can, like, if you've got one of their gaming chairs, you can just disconnect it and then it'll connect to the, like, it connects so to the rig. And it's like, it's flat pack. So like you can pack it away, fit it under a desk or under a thing. It's like, this is not meant to, if you don't want it to sit out all the time, it won't sit out all the time. So from that sort of level, it's great. But then it's got like really cool features where they're going to create like custom chairs for it as well. So there's a custom chair that has full haptic feedback that's going to be quite affordable as well. And then there is like telemetry as well that can feed into the rig setup. And they can even, because they like, they know PCs inside and out, but they've thought of like really cool ways to add sort of like a little bit of like, extra sensory, like cool stuff. So like one of them is that like you can connect to one of their system fan headers on your gaming rig that's obviously connected to this rig. And basically, based on the telemetry, it'll, on like, obviously sensing what's happening on screen and stuff, like it'll kick up like, like it'll have like a fan that just like blows on you as well. Like as you like your racings, like the faster you go, like the more like wind you feel. And then that's awesome. Like a very cheap, like that's something that you can just connect any fan to this rig. Like this is like a $10 mod that you can do to it that they've factored into it. Compatible with basically all the major wheels and pedals. So you can customize it how you see fit. You can get the haptic feedback. And there's one with like, there's also like, some RGB action on one of the ones that, with light strips and stuff like that, if you want that optional as well. And, playing, so I've like, played a bunch of like racing games in the arcade. I've tested out like high-end racing sim rigs before, and they are impressive, right? Like, it goes without saying, but they cost so much money. Like, you're talking thousands of dollars. And this is for like a fraction of the cost. They've created something that was so super immersive. Like the haptic feedback worked really well. The unit is like super solid. There was no like rattle, or it didn't feel cheap, right? Like if you think, okay, what are you going to get for $500? It's going to probably be not going to be that secure. But this thing was like, it's like gold, man. Like you're sitting on it like super secure. Super impressive. Like, and it's going to be shipping in the next few months. I've already reached out to Henry, and he's going to get me all the details on all the different models and stuff like that. And we're going to stay tuned to Tweak Down, because we're going to have just a big news article or whatever on all the configuration and options, building on what we saw at Computex. So like and we'll basically just, and I'll say it there again when I post that stuff, is that if you're into sim racing and you want to put together a racing rig that is good, great even, that isn't going to cost you
an arm and a leg.
Yeah, like, there was Cooler Masters one was on display.
DIN-X.
The DIN-X. And then what does that cost? Like $6,000 or something?
I don't know, something like that. Something ridiculous. Yeah.
Like an extra zero, basically. Yeah. And what are you getting for that? Like, it's not going to be like 60 times better, because this was cool. Like, this is like having like a proper racing rig setup.
No, that's great. Congratulations to the boys at Nitro Concepts. They seem to have knocked it out of the park with this one. I wish I had enough time to sit down and have a play with it, because from what you and Cam said, you loved it.
Yeah, definitely. Because like me and Cam are two very different. Like he jumped in and adjusted it for him, like pulling the seat back, the haptic feedbacks. It was all like seamless. So good. And the fact that it's like modular and stuff like that is like, that's why like it won the award as well. Is that like sure, like having a great racing sim rig is obviously not easy, but it's usually just a luxury, expensive thing that's unattainable. But Nitro Concepts, like the whole goal of this project from the team there was to create an affordable version of it, and they've done it.
That's great. I'm very happy for him. Hopefully it does sell a lot of units, because I know there are, like, these racing games are popular. So I'm sure there is a lot of gamers out there that could afford an affordable racing sim and definitely want one. Because all the options on the market are extremely expensive. But that is it for this week's episode of the Tweaktown Show. I hope you enjoyed that Computex wrap up. Next week we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. Bunch of news stories, and do you have anything to sign off with?
No. Check out our full best of Computex feature. Check out the site for like more info and all that stuff, and all the other stuff that we didn't cover at Computex because there was just so much. Yeah, we saw plenty of cool stuff. I mean, we could have given out twice as many awards.
Oh, easily, but then they wouldn't be worth as much.
Yep.
The link to the Best of Computex feature article will be in the description below. Just head to the Google Docs link and it'll be the first one in the list, along with all the other stories that we've talked about. If you want further reading, or you want to look at the photos again, go look at my photography. It's very good. No, thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Yep.
See ya.
Thank you. See ya.